Well, it's a timely episode of Coastin presented by FloHockey TV. I'm the voice of the Iowa Heartlanders, David Fine, alongside Evan Pivnick, the illustrious voice of the Adirondack Thunder. And we say timely because just clinched the Eastern Conference a couple days ago, and he's here with us for this week's episode. It's the head coach of the South Carolina Stingrays, Ryan Blair. Ryan, thanks for carving out a few minutes, and I'm sure it's a busy schedule. So what was going on in the office today? How have the last few days been as an Eastern Conference champ?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and definitely a busy time of year, but wouldn't trade it for anything. We're extremely excited as a group and an organization to be headed to the Kelly Cup, and yeah, times are busy these days, and just preparing for a new opponent in Fort Wayne. They obviously won last night, and first game will be Friday at our place, so we're excited for that.
Number one, this is a strange year from the get-go, and it just seemed to get stranger as things got on for you guys. You guys were on the outside looking in just about a month and a half ago, and now all of a sudden you're the Eastern Conference champs. You're playing at the practice rink. There's a lot going on, but a lot to be happy for. What for you has been the strangest moment of this journey so far?
It's a tough question. We just try to take on every day as a new opportunity to kind of learn and grow and embrace the adversity. But playing in the practice rink is definitely a little bit different. But there hasn't been any. We try to come into it with a mindset that nothing's really going to throw us off, nothing's really going to phase us. So I think that's definitely helped from the get-go that we've had that kind of mindset. So anything that comes our way, just kind of we take it in stride. And I can't really think of one thing that would be kind of the strangest or weirdest thing, but playing in the Ice Palace has actually been better than I thought. We've been taken good care of there, and we've had some success there, and the guys have embraced it. So it's kind of a fun place to play, and it's an intimate atmosphere for sure.
In a practice rink that holds 550 at that, and a lot of season ticket holders that have been packing that place. A little bit easier to pack the place than the full, North Charleston Coliseum, which can fill up and have great nights as well. But what kind of noise? How would you describe the noise of the building on a game night and an Eastern Conference final night in the Carolina Ice Palace there?
Yeah, it's really loud, and the fans they're right on top of you, and they get on the other team pretty quick, and you can hear exactly what they're saying. So it's a fun place to be, and the music's loud. It's everything's just on top of you. That's the biggest difference between the Ice Palace and the Coliseum.
Tell us a little about your team. There's a lot of guys from a lot of different backgrounds, as we always see in the ECHL, but this year, obviously being different with not a lot of places to play for a lot of guys. So what was that like going into the season, prepping, to put this team together and what it ultimately came to as an Eastern Conference championship team?
Yeah, it was definitely a different makeup this off season, but my first year doing it. So I don't really know too much different, but yeah, definitely different with the amount of players that were available, the amount of really good players that were available. So we were able to take advantage of a couple of those, and we were fortunate. We had a lot of returning players that were excited to come back. So anytime you've got a big crop of returning players, you're confident in what you're bringing in, and there's not too many unknowns. So that was something that I was really happy about. I was confident with the guys that were coming back, and knew that we'd have a pretty strong core in terms of on-ice product and leadership. So we'll see what this offseason brings. We'll lose a lot of those guys, and who knows what we'll get back in terms of returners. You never really know in the ECHL. So we'll see what this offseason brings.
In a typical offseason, and Kirk McDonald, who's the head coach of the Reading Royals that I'd worked with previously, said that to sell a guy on Reading, Pennsylvania, it's got to be a certain type of player, guy that wants to win, get called up, all this stuff, and really sell the culture. In South Carolina and in the South Division, it might be a little bit easier than going maybe somewhere in the North Division like Glens Falls or something like that, where guys are there. It's tough to get outside. It's tough to sit by the pool in a normal year, to kind of unwind. So what is a pitch for the South Carolina Stingrays head coach to convince a player to come to Charleston, South Carolina?
Yeah, we're really fortunate with our location. Really fortunate with the success of the organization in years past. Fortunate with the affiliation that we have with Hershey and Washington. So I think it's still a lot of the things still apply in terms of wanting players that want to be a part of a good culture. But yeah, a little different in terms of golf and pool and overall weather. But typically, I'm probably talking about a lot of the same things that most coaches talk about, and the way you want to run things, and try and keep it as professional as possible, and talk about just the success that South Carolina has had in the past in terms of moving players on and winning championships. So a little bit easier probably being in the South, but at the same time, it's got to be a good fit for the individual as well.
You talked about before, this is your first full season as a head coach of the South Carolina Stingrays, but you were a part of the team last year as the assistant coach. And for you guys, especially the guys coming back, it's got to be even a bigger journey for those guys, because last year, the South Carolina Stingrays were one of the top teams in the ECHL, and all of a sudden everything ended and there was no closure to it. Did you feel that, when you got a lot of those guys back, that there was unfinished business to take care of?
Yeah, I think so for sure. And, that was part of sort of recruiting some of those guys, and part of some of those guys really wanting to come back is because they felt like they were cut short, and unfairly so. And I mean, it is what it is. It's everyone was shut down, but yeah, it was an opportunity for them to kind of try and get back to where we were at one point. And it's just such a crazy game that we didn't get back to where we were, but ultimately we're going to the Kelly Cup, and that's all that really matters is where you finish, and not necessarily where you start. And who knows where we would have ended up last year in the playoffs. So we had a great team, but you saw what happened year in, year out. It's not always the number one seed that makes it to the finals. So I don't know. It's that's how we got a lot of guys, is that kind of unfinished business mindset. But at the end of the day, we've found a way here in the last 10 game stretch of the season and throughout the playoffs to get to this point.
Take us back. It's a month and a half ago at this point. It's mid-May, 60 games into a 72 game season, and guys are 5-6 points out. And, when you're 6 points out with, a month to go in the season, it's kind of hard to imagine that you might be at this point now. So what was the mentality back then as the corner started to be turned? Were there any moments that really stand out, any games or anything? What kind of led to all this back about a month and a half ago?
Yeah, we talked even prior to that to really try and flip our mindset to a playoff type mindset, and it honestly didn't happen, and it still took longer than we wanted to. Our second to last game of the year in Orlando was probably the most complete game we've played all season, and even at that point, we weren't sure if we were going to get in. It took another team to win for us to secure the spot, but we try to just talk about having a playoff mindset over the last, even midway through the year, because we were so up and down all year. We had to find a way to try and switch gears and switch the focus, because we felt that if we didn't, it'd be too late. And even though we didn't necessarily flip it at the right time, we were able to find a way. And the last 10 games, it was just seemed like a different team and a different mindset and a different belief and a different amount of confidence that we were playing with. And the guys have been great. They've carried that throughout, from about, game 60, 62 type thing, like you're talking about, up until now. Just a different kind of confidence and a different group of togetherness, I'd say.
How much does the veteran leadership go into what you guys are doing down in South Carolina? There's some guys who have been there, done that, or have been around teams that have been close to, achieving the ultimate goal and winning a championship. But who are some of the guys that, you have full confidence in the locker room that, they're going to make sure everything's even keel, and they're going to make sure they say the right things to the younger guys to make sure you guys have a real good chance at taking home the Kelly Cup?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm extremely fortunate with the leadership that's in that room, and I don't think there's necessarily one guy that steers this ship for us. It's a real collective, and it kind of sounds cliche, but it's all of it's the entire locker room. There's different guys that speak up at different points, whether it's a guy who is more of a quiet leader and scores a big goal and then has some voice during an intermission, or it's someone different stepping up every night and being vocal. And that's I think that's a testament to the locker room and the type of team that's in there. But like you mentioned, there's so many guys in that room that have been special places, whether it's in college or pro, and played in big moments and played in, NHL games, American League games, and been in Calder Cup playoff games. And, we try and draw on the experience of all of those guys to make us successful.
I hate to get too stat heavy, but if you just look at the scoring leaders for you all in the playoffs, it's so incredibly balanced. 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3, 4, it's like all 3 lines and, a few defensemen obviously pitching in. So how much would you say that has, I want to say led to this success, but made it hard to game plan and match against you all from the other team's defensive perspective, because it's like all 3 lines have been so good and efficient?
Yeah, I think we've been able to find some pretty good balance throughout our lineup, and that was something that changed a little bit too down the stretch. Is we've dressed 10 forwards and 7 defensemen for our last 10 games or so, and throughout the playoffs we've done that. And depending on the night, sometimes that 10 forward won't see a lot of ice, so you're just rolling your 3 lines, and you feel like they're pretty balanced. I would think it's a lot more difficult to match up, and it gives me a lot of confidence to continue to roll those guys. But yeah, we've been able to find some scoring from different guys, and I think that's a real strength of our group right now as well.
Goaltending has to be a big part of what you guys are doing. And this season, just looking at the good old Hockey DB page, there's a good list of goaltenders that have gone through Charleston this season. And in such a weird year, what was, that like, making sure that you have a consistent goaltender, or even maybe just a goaltender that you have confidence in to put in for that specific game? Because, you don't have, looking at last year where you had Logan Thompson going most of the way, and then that seemed like an even split. But now it's just, some guys have 10 games, some guys have 8 games, a little more than that.
Yeah, that was definitely when we were struggling a little bit in the middle of the year. We went on a few stretches there where we were really in a tough spot, and I think some of the goaltending consistency had a factor in that. We've got Hunter Shepard right now, who's been unbelievable for us. But I think just having some kind of consistency with the person that's going in there, whether you're winning or losing, just the guys in front of them need to feel comfortable. And when you have a new goalie in every night, or you're playing back-to-back games and you're always playing a different goalie, I think it's hard to kind of find that rhythm and find that consistency and find that trust. So, throughout the middle of the year, as always in the ECHL, there's a lot of movement, and we struggled in that for a couple months, and we've kind of found our way here with Shep being a real rock back there for us, and hopefully we can continue to ride him because he's been excellent.
Different coaches have different things that they do, an hour and a half before the game, when game plan's done, talk to the boys, had the little pregame meeting there, normally about an hour and a half, hour 45 before, and then it's just you, the staff, the boys are doing their thing before warmups. So how have you decompressed or not decompressed in that maybe hour and a half or so before you're out there and coaching?
Yeah, we usually have our 5:30 meeting. We do a couple special teams meeting prior to that, and then we'll have a team meeting at 5:30. And then it's usually just myself and the assistant that just kind of go back and forth depending on the mood of the game, or both of our moods. We'll talk about different things, sometimes hockey, sometimes try and shift the focus and take a deep breath and talk about something non-hockey for a few minutes to kind of get away from it. But yeah, nothing special that either of us kind of do on a nightly basis to kind of focus up.
As a follow-up before Piv jumps in here, same meal before every game, or what? Have you found any consistent meal that's been leading to the winning, or is it just whatever's out there?
Yeah, whatever's out there. Sometimes we'll have leftovers. Sometimes we'll go to Chipotle or a Jersey Mike's for a pregame lunch.
Well, yeah, a lot of coaches sometimes have those specific rituals or superstitions that they do, but it seems like, at that point, after the pregame meeting's done, it's and kind of out of your control at that point until the puck drops. I mean, there's nothing really too much you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why sometimes we're able to, sometimes I'm really amped up and kind of anxious for the game, and you kind of can't get your mind off it. But other times it's just, you've done everything you can and you have full confidence in your group. And I always do, but just sometimes it's easier to turn it off for a few minutes before you have to kind of fire it up again. But yeah, you're right. Whether you think about it or you don't think about it, it's not really going to change how the team performs. What's done is done at that point.
Just to
Mention.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I mentioned his name before, but Logan Thompson was a guy who was your backstop for a majority of games last season. But you turn on your TV now, and some nights he's backing up the Vegas Golden Knights. So what is it like to see good old LT not only get an NHL contract, but perform to the best of the best in the AHL and get an opportunity to backstop both Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner?
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Obviously, he was seemed like a real young, high-end prospect when he was with us, and I think everyone kind of knew that he had a lot of upside, and it was just a matter of him kind of learning the pro game a little bit. And seems like this year it really clicked, and he was really, really good for us last year, and obviously had an unbelievable year in the American League, and was able to back up some games and play in the NHL. So it really exciting for him, but he's a great young goalie with a lot of upside.
One of the ones that Thunder fans will say got away. He signed with the Adirondack Thunder right out of college in Canada, comes in, played great for us. And then, you know how the ECHL works, a couple of guys getting sent back down. And I think the season ended anyway, or he got hurt, one of the two. And then he signed an AHL deal in Hershey, and that's how the Stingrays got him. And then now he's making NHL money, having some fun in the playoffs. So, hey, good for him,
I remember who beat him in the final game of the regular season there too. It was Adirondack Reddit. I know you guys went to the playoffs and we didn't that year when I was still with the Royals, but yeah, it was a fun couple days to end the season. A few more here with Ryan Blair. You beat Florida in the first round in 5 games, and that's not easy to do. It's not easy to defeat the Everblades anywhere. Normally in a given year, it's South Carolina and Florida kind of battling 1 and 2. This year's obviously a little bit different, but I mean, I have to, just the number of games that you played against them this season had to make it a pretty big rivalry. The relief, the emotion after winning the 5th game, and now you get to focus on the conference finals. What was it like with the boys after winning the 5th game there?
Yeah, it was that was a really exciting moment. Obviously, being on the road, that game 4, our backs were against the wall. It was do or die, and then we were fortunate to win that game. And I think that served us really well in game 5, because we were basically just having to repeat what we did, and we'd already been in that sort of mindset where, hey, we're in the same exact situation. It's do or die again. So we already had that very recent experience to lean on. And for Florida, it was do or die as well. But that was the first time that they had to win or go home type mentality. So, being in that game 4, I think served us really well. And it was really exciting after the game. Obviously, my first playoff series, so exciting for me personally, but exciting for the guys. I think it really elevated what their belief level was. And, obviously playing Florida is extremely tough, like you said, anytime, anywhere. But to be able to kind of refresh and take a breath after you knocked off the number 1 team, it gives you some confidence for sure. And especially in a shortened playoff where, okay, if we win the next round, then we're going to the Kelly Cup. So the mindset's a little different. It's less of a grind kind of mentality where it's like, okay, well, we have to win 2 more series before the Kelly Cup. Now it's okay, guys. Now we might as well do it now. We've won 1 series, you win 1 more, you're going to the Kelly Cup. And I think that gave our guys a lot of life and a lot of belief in the group.
Now you guys take on the Fort Wayne Komets, a team that's played well all season long. And they just announced they're at full capacity in their arena, which is a lot of people. What have you seen from the tape of Fort Wayne as you guys are preparing for the final?
Yeah, they're a really good team, and we haven't played there this year, and I'm sure it's going to be an extremely hostile environment. But similar to what they will likely feel coming to the Ice Palace, just on a much bigger scale. So, we're excited for that. They're a really good team. They're a heavy team. They play in your face. So that'll be a real challenge for us. But, we played them 3 times this year. I don't really think it's got too much significance anymore. It's just too long ago, and it's the playoffs. It's a whole new season. It doesn't matter what you did 3 months ago. It's what have you done lately type mentality for us. So, they're a great team, but I think it's a great matchup, and we're excited and we're confident as a group going into it.
Ryan, wishing you all the best of luck with, again, game 1 that starts on Friday. Thanks again for carving out a few minutes, and a game prep heavy, busy schedule for the Stingrays and for you all as you lead up to game 1.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Again, this has been an episode of Coastin presented by FloHockey TV. You can catch every game in the Kelly Cup Finals and every game always. If you haven't watched until now, you may as well tune in for the finals. So game 1 on Friday starts on FloHockey TV with South Carolina and the Fort Wayne Komets live from the Carolina Ice Palace down there in South Carolina. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Evan Pivnick and David Fine signing off.